So as we gather in our circle here in the sacred ground of sovereignty, we know that we each bring with us our own spiritual teams, guides, family, and friends who are the reason we can work in the way we do. With communications given to those in fields beyond Earth, allows them to participate, design, create, call into being what we ask for. And we so appreciate being a part of this entire collective and team. So let your body just breathe in the way it knows to do. And in this moment of time, we freeze frame time. We create a point of stillness. And in stillness, there just is. In stillness, we just are. And the breath moves through, bringing in the divine from beyond Earth, anchoring it through us and beyond us into the earth. We are present, present, present. And in this moment, we know that all we need be is present. So we declare this truth into this ground, sacred ground of sovereignty circle, feeling and opening to the connections of our crystal broadcasting circles, sisters, wherever they are on the planet, feeding and nourishing and activating them as we sit together here. So we give gratitude for being together, for that opportunity. We give gratitude for the opportunity to be still. And we declare this space prepared for what it is that we're called to do, and so it is. And when you're ready, let your breath bring you back into your space, which is within this physical circle. So we're going to open the circle for each woman to presence herself, name where you are on the planet. You know, we'll get that down really quite well. And whatever you need or want to say into this field that is just available to let you yourself be heard. And I will tag someone, and that woman will tag the next, and we'll just go around until everyone's had an opportunity to share. So I'm going to call on Margie, if you would like to share. And of course, if you get called on and you really don't want to share right now, always you can say no. And when you're finished, you can then tag the next person. Margie.
Thanks, Sharon. I'm Margie Lystra, and I am in Sandy, Utah. I've had within my own family group some really interesting shifts and changes in the last couple of weeks. And it's been really interesting to see the in front of your eyes visible wave that's possible in the raising of conscious awareness within those circles of our own family, friends. And I've had that kind of driven home pretty clearly, and it's been beautiful to watch. The work that we do impacts so far beyond ourselves that it's really validating to see it within those that you love, seeing that shift in consciousness, raising the vibration, bearing fruit. And I'd like to call Arlie.
Hi, I'm Arlie. I'm in Eastbourne, New Zealand, just outside Wellington. It's Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Um, I am really feeling the energies that are around. And I feel them calling to me and inviting me to make use of them, to step into them. And I haven't taken that step yet. Um, but I really should, I feel like I definitely can do this, should do this. And this is the week that I'm going to do it. And that's what I wanted to bring to the circle. So Cinda?
Okay, so yeah, I'm really tired. Oh, I need a nap. I'm recognizing a pattern, and the pattern with the energy that's out there that we both, that both Margie and Arlie are focusing on is that there is a shift. Something feels really different to me. People are coming out of their houses and they're reaching out and their need to connect. I'm hunkering down in some property along the Columbia River Gorge, and we have some vacation homes. And since we had to shut down the property, the homes, because of the pandemic, we moved in. My family moved in, and we opened up on Friday again. And so we had a couple RV people staying. And I was walking my dog down to the river and started talking to one of the men that owned one of the RVs. And he was a bartender. He owned a bar that had to be shut down. But yet his outlook on everything was such a huge gift. And this man was smoking and he had tattoos all over his body. And if I would have seen him, I would have, on the street, I would have avoided him. Because he looked a little bit threatening. But somehow he and I started talking, and he said that this is what he said. He said, you know what? This is always going to be a time when we remember that, what were you doing when? Because we know that we all went through it. There isn't one person on this planet that hasn't been impacted by it. And he said, I am so sick and tired of going down the drain. I want to reverse that, and I want to take that spiral up and out. And I want that spiral to represent hope. I'm so tired of being sucked down the drain of despair and fear and unknowing. I want to reverse that and expand that spiral out. And I want it to scream hope to everybody, because there is such hope. And we all need to come out of this better and, with a more important outlook, and recognize our need to interact and communicate and honor, and we're more alike than we are different, because we've all gone through this. We all share this one thing in common. Oh my gosh, he talked about everything, and I just sat there in awe of the immediate judgment I had made about him, to now being completely inspired by him. And I leaned in and I said, Justin, you need to be making YouTube videos and you need to be sharing this inspiration with the world, because of who you are. Is people are going to lean in and listen. They're going to lean in and listen. I said, use this amazing property as your backdrop. Do it, and then share it on my Facebook page, and I'll share it out there with the world. You have something to say, and people will lean in and listen. Because he kind of looked like those guys on the courthouse blocks with guns. He kind of looked like them, but he wasn't. And he's not. Anyway, there is a shift in the air, and it's pretty extraordinary. And I am so grateful for having met with him and talking to him. It was on Mother's Day, and it was a good 2-hour conversation with this complete stranger. It was amazing. Anyway, I'm done. Kelly.
So I'm Kelly. I'm out here in Oregon, east of Hood River, about 40 miles east or 40 minutes east of Cinda in the Columbia Gorge. So I'm in Portland or Hood River, Oregon area. So, golly, I have this fluttering like right here in my chest. And it's like this urgency, you know, it's like, okay, I hear you, I feel you, and now what am I to do with you, right? I feel you. Now you're excitable, you're anxious, you're, you know, what's the next step? You know, kind of sitting here. So, so I am aware of the need for community and physical contact. I'm aware of the desire to see people outside of Zoom. I love Zoom. I'm so very grateful that I have it and we have it, and it's been a stabilizing force in my life for a long time now. But that there's nothing that replaces that energetic exchange in person, right? There's nothing that alters the vibration of the field when you're standing in front of somebody that just sets your heart on fire. Whether it be, and I know for me, the realization was being with my daughter yesterday. I have a son that's in California, and we're obviously not together, but being in proximity with my child was, oh my gosh, this is what it is. This is what it is. We are human beings that need to have connection, that need to have tangible connection. We need to be in front of each other. We need to be able to hear each other's stories, like Cinda just referenced, and honor that. So I am in a place of awe, in a way, about the recognition of the possibility, right? When we realize that recognition of what's in front of us is just so exciting to me as we keep trudging through our paths here. So I'm complete. Thank you. Let's see, Susan.
Hello, everybody. It's been a quiet day for me. I'm maybe in that place of shift, trying to be present to it, to see what it's bringing, or to see what it wants me to know, or where it wants to take me. So I'm just having a really quiet, not sure kind of day, just kind of drifting along, waiting to see what catches my eye, or a little bird in my ear, or a place of grounding to land. So, Sharon.
I know that feeling that you talk of, Kelly, you know, and my 2 daughters and son-in-laws were had their masks on and staying their distance, and I just cried. You know, Zoom is great, really great, but just even being in physical proximity, or the fact that my daughter didn't feel like she could, you know, come into the house and just left it, and it's like, oh my gosh, come back. And that's good. It's good that we're seeing what's really powerfully important to us, as well as seeing what we really don't want to have continue, whether it's in our own world and in our own way of being in life, or whether it's in social situations. And I really want to honor you, Cinda. You are such the word that comes to mind is cheerleader. You know, you're an inspirer of others, and you did that in a way that I don't know that I would have thought about it. I would have taken it in, and you took it the extra step. I want to remember to do that. So I'm glad to be with all of you today, and I'm going to pass to Lynn.
Gosh, it must have been a week ago or a little longer that I felt a shift. It was just so I go for a walk every day down by the marina and back, a back road kind of through the trees, and around, and I love it. It's my connection to nature and my connection to, it's where my soul just feels alive. But that day I came home and I was telling Tom, I said, it was so different today. It's like I heard the animals. I mean, I always hear the ducks, but I really heard the ducks. And I stopped and I talked to them. And I know they were answering me, but I haven't learned their language yet. But every bird, every critter, and the creek, you know, I was just listening to the creek, and it was just different. And something has shifted. And well, sharing those, we have our tag team call on Sundays. There's 4 of us. Everybody else had felt that shift within the last day or two too. Also, we all kind of felt that same thing. And so that's the space I've kind of been living in. And then Friday night, my stepdaughter, my husband's daughter, a man tried to break into her house after she was in bed. Scary, scary, scary. And he was trying to break the front door down, and she lives by herself. And anyway, it's all a happy ending. The police came and they were able to nab him in the neighborhood and had him, and then came and talked to her and said, you know, we have him. You don't have to worry. They know the person. He's got some real mental health issues. And they said, you know, he's not going to be around to hurt anybody. And so I thought, well, thank God for that they got him, which really helps. I mean, we've got enough trauma just from the incident, but knowing that they got him, and also knowing that hopefully he'll get some help that he needs. But so that was trying to shift my energy. I was trying to stay grounded in that for her and for myself. And then yesterday, the highlight of my day was having a Zoom call with my daughter and granddaughter and son-in-law. But then my granddaughter I'm asking, well, so what have you been doing to keep busy? And she's 13, almost 14. And she goes on to share about this bike ride with her mom, helping her, bike ride that she and some friends went on. And somehow she and her friend got separated and went down this she said, we went down a cliff, but it wasn't like they fell down the cliff. It was just a steep thing they were riding on, everybody was. And they went down and got separated, and nobody knew where they were, and they didn't know where they were. And they ended up crossing a creek, and her friend lost her bike, went down the creek. And she just says matter-of-factly to me, she says, and Grandma, I could have quite possibly died. I mean, she said that not with any fear or whatever. And I'm like going, oh my God, And then she talks about how to get back. Bonnie, there were a lot of phone calls and everything. She said, Grandma, I thought we were going to have to call those people that come in helicopters and pick you up. But anyway, they had to cross the river to get back. And somebody on the phone said, don't cross. They crossed the river. I can't believe they crossed the river. I mean, that's the Snoqualmie River up by Preston. And so I'm just, thank God that she's, fine. But that just sort of, those 2 incidents, I have not been living in fear at all during this. I've been doing all my light and love and all my energy groundings and not letting fear be part of that. But the fears really started creeping in after that yesterday. And so I'm working today, and I'm working on just getting myself regrounded to, I did a light meditation and all this, but cocooning my granddaughter, but just thinking about the young people, not only my granddaughter, but the young people that are kind of bored now, and it's a whole different world where they're trying to find ways to entertain themselves. And I just feel like they need extra protection right now. And that may just be my personal thing because it's my granddaughter, but I think our young people really need some extra protection. So hope. Oh, and I live in Des Moines, Washington, which is about 20 miles south of Seattle.
Who are you going to tag, Lynn?
Well, you know, I can only see on my iPad 4 people and they've all talked, so I don't know who else is on here.
We're going to
So
go,
I'll
there's
tag
two left,
whoever hasn't spoken.
Sushila and then Sheila. Those two are the ones that are left.
Okay, Sheila.
Hi, everybody. It's 222.
You too.
222. Wow. So much richness in this. I think I'll share my dream. So last night I had this dream that I lived at this place, like a condo or something, and the workers were working at 11:30 at night, and I went out storming saying, you know, it's after quiet time, you have to stop working. And the workers said, no, we can do whatever we want. And so I was going to go off and get some reinforcements, and in my dream it was 2 alpha males that I know. I was going to go get them and, you know, get some help, and we we're going to stop these guys. So this morning I had a talk with my therapist, and she said 11:30. What does that mean? You know, numbers are always important in dreams. And I was thinking, you know, this was a dream of my feminist, the new world of I was going to stand up to the patriarchy, or, you know, make things right. And she said, well, look at the time, and what does that mean? And how does that go to yourself? And I'm like, that, you know, overworking, working beyond the hours of the right hour. And I go, oh, well, I'm always in bed and working, and sometimes I'm on the computer till 11:30, 12:30. and my body wants to stop. And I thought, oh, I just had to laugh, because I said, oh yeah, I can see how I'm not listening. and I'm being my own, you know. So for me, it was a great insight to always bring it back to my, you know, what is this all about? And I'm just so lucky to, and we also, I had a realization that how I feel very fortunate to be listening to, opening to the people that are in life that can support me. And this is my 3rd Zoom call today. Mondays are a little much, but there would have been 4, but I left out 1. So, or 2. So I'm just really grateful to be here. And I know that I'm at the right place at the right time. And I'm complete, and I'll tag Sheila. And you need to unmute, yes.
Hi, everyone. Hey, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful Dell came out and said, do you know what time it is? I did not. I've been losing track of time for this last week. It's just, I mean, yesterday was exceptional, beautiful Mother's Day, maybe the best ever, or at least it felt like the best ever. But this whole week, it's like, I don't even know it exists, and it's kind of discombobulating. But I wanted to say kudos to Sharon. I didn't know if she was aware of it or not, but did you see that you have nearly 500, and it might be over that now, on your YouTube about ending a parasite cleanse? Yeah. So I thought that was very exciting. Too. What? Tell me again.
I just said, oh, that's pretty interesting. Thank you, Sheila, for letting me know.
I know. I was on the computer before I went outside to garden, and I went, wow, you know, you came up on my stream of YouTubes, and I went, well, isn't that wonderful? And then I checked it out and saw that it was just nearly, it might be over now, over 500 people. And the title was The Cleansing of Parasitic Energy, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought, well, it's starting to really grab hold. People are looking and listening. Yes, so Nothing more than that, other than I apologize for being late. And I'm glad I'm here. Good to see you all. And I will, who's left? Who's left, Sharon? Who hasn't spoke?
I think we've got them all. Yeah,
Okay.
I think everyone's spoken. Thanks. Oh yes, it is really good to be together and just to hear each other's voices and stories. Remember last week as we started into the feedback from what I think it was Evie at the time was talking about, she was seeing an education system. You remember that? Those of you who were on the call, and I said, oh, stop, I've got to record. I think I've got to record because I can hear it's going to be pretty nifty. So I recorded all of the visions that each of the women brought back, because I felt like they were going to, it was important that they be out in the world in some fashion. And so what I'm doing, I've gotten 4 of them so far, is taking that snippet out. So here, for example, is Cinda's snippet about a different economy, and put it into a little iMovie. So it hasn't, nobody's pictures here. It's only her words with some pictures. So because it's a video on YouTube, and it's on a specific channel. And I'll say, I think I may have sent something out with one of the newsletters. I don't know. We got so many newsletters going on. So that it's called, the series called Be the Future Now. That's what it's called. And so all these little snippets. So that's why I'm recording today, because if there's any others, and there's probably every one of you will have just an amazing snippet view of something in the future. And I'll just keep adding those to this channel. And it's under Crystal Broadcasters, but I'll send links out for that. So I'm really excited about that. It takes a lot of time to do those things. I wish it were faster, but it does take a bit of time. But we do have a good start. So we're going to do the same kind of travel that we did before, in that you're going to be with your teams. The intention is that whatever your soul and they want to show you of the future, you're going to go there, see what it is, pick up words, symbols, feelings. When you get that and you're ready to bring it back, to anchor it in your body, write it in your journal, and then we'll each share what it is that we're bringing back. So, any questions before we start? Okay, and of course, some of you will be there before I say much, which is okay too. So I'm just going to do a short guided visualization, let imagination and magic take you where it will. And then we'll see you back with more valuable future visions. So we gather here in our sacred ground circles with our amazing spiritual teams of integrity and joy, abundance, generosity, far-seeing wisdom, who are totally aligned to the highest good in moving humanity, all life actually, into its next highest best. There's a future already there. And we are committed to being and seeing and evolving ourselves with that future of good in order to actively participate in our present with the future to collapse time. So let that breath move into your physical body to rejuvenate the body, keep it energized and strong. If you want your team and feel that your team need to be a little bit closer with you, that certainly call them in. And being with them, let yourself lift that very conscious you, lift up out of the physical body. Imagining yourself above your home, above trees, clouds, into that channel field of time. It is a secure channel. It's broad, it's full of intelligence and wisdom, all resonating together with who you are, who your team is, and what is calling you. Let your imagination move you forward in time to the count of 1. Moving safely, warmly to the count of 2. Wherever it is most important for you to be drawn to the count of 3 and being there. Look at your feet, what you have for clothing, what is around you, and spend time in this future, knowing the codes, the feelings, the words, the symbol. And when you're complete there, we'll meet back in our circle of physical bodies. Started, and again, tag, 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 and let's start with Susan.
My travel was very simple today, maybe because of the place that I'm in today with everything and around me. I got in my little Jetson aircraft, and then I found myself flying with my angel wings, and I felt just an enormous amount of freedom. And maybe that's what today was about, was declaring that freedom for me. So they put me on the side of a hill. I felt like I was like in the Netherlands or Switzerland, somewhere where it was just rich and vital. And there was this beautiful, beautiful dog next to me. And we were just sitting in the countryside. We were just overlooking this beautiful little village and just being observers and watching how all resources were shared. Everything was common. There wasn't ownership. There wasn't claim to anything, but everybody working in harmony. And the other thing that came to me, it was so quiet there. It was the way they communicated. It was peaceful. There wasn't this overdraft of information constantly being pummeled at them. They were allowed to think for themselves. They were allowed to be free to telepathically communicate. There was no outside intrusion into this beautiful community that was going, and everything just was interwoven. It was just beautiful. So I asked for the symbol or what word needed to come back, and the word starseed came back again, with the star in the center and the little circle around it, just about being a starseed. So, Lynn, I'll tag you.
Thank you. Well, mine was pretty interesting in that I wasn't here, physically here, sitting in my space half the time. I got onto my journey. I was going with my guides, and then our fire alarm went off. And then it stopped and went on again. So I had to go out. I mean, I had to go out of the room and see what was going, making sure there wasn't a fire in my house, number one. And so then my husband and I were trying to get up the fire. We were working on checking the fire alarm because it kept going off. He finally figured out it wasn't the alarm, but there's a carbon monoxide monitor right next to it. And it was that was going off. And so he's able to get it off, and he's dealing with it. But so I missed most of the time. But so I kept thinking, well, what was that about? Just as I was looking down going to look down at my feet is when the fire alarm went off to see where I was on this time travel. So anyway, I came back and I saw that you were all still in it. So I tried to get back to that place, and I did. I got back and I looked down. Instead of seeing my feet, what I saw was a horseshoe. And so I picked up the horseshoe to bring back as a symbol. But then I looked up and there was a white horse, beautiful white horse right in front of me. And the horse knelt down and wanted me to get on. So I got on its back and we were riding off, and we were up on a hill overlooking down at a village, sort of like you were just describing, Sue. And but we were starting to go down when Sharon called me back, and I lost it all. You know, it was because I had lost my time messing with the fire alarm. But my sense, you know, my sense was that it was the same type of a village, that it just looked very peaceful, but I wasn't able to get in to see what was going on. So I brought back the horseshoe symbol, and I think the white horse was also a symbol, and the fire alarm goes in there somewhere. So that's it. And I will, let's see who I have here. Arlie.
Well, I started off and found myself traveling through space and time. And I looked down at my clothes, and I was wearing this gowny thing that I realized just stood for clothes. And I also realized that I was there in a physical body. I wasn't like astrally projecting, that somehow there's a whole bunch of space in molecules, and there's a whole bunch of space between molecules, and there's actually enough space that you can have two people. So my body was in one place and my second body was in another place, where I'm going off into space here. So I came to this area where there were a whole bunch of other people in these not dress, you know, didn't matter what they had on, was the feeling that I got. And there was a being standing in the front holding this brown ball that looked kind of crispy. And he was carefully taking layers off, and he was teaching these people by removing the layers of this, getting to the kernel of truth slowly and carefully. And I realized that all these other people were asleep and were out of their bodies, and probably their real body was back home sound asleep, and they might or might not remember what they had learned. So I looked across this group and I asked, if there's anybody else awake here, could you let yourself be known? And this head popped up and this being came toward me. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I just came here and I'm listening, but I realized that I'm different from the rest of these people. I'm more awake. So I said, is there anybody else here who's awake? And more heads started popping up and turning around, and these people started coming to the back where I was. And it seemed like they were waking up at that time. Not that they had always been awake in the group, but at that moment they started waking up. And I thought, oh my God, people are getting the message. They're waking up to this information. So I was going, you know, wow, wow, wow. And I started walking away. I asked my guides, is there anything else I should see? And they said, we want you to see this place of healing. So they took me to this place, and there were a whole bunch of beings, the standard image of healers that are, you know, white light, and, you know, these guys' white gowns was more solid, because that's the kind of imaging that, I don't know, I get. But they were all, and people were walking through this tunnel, these beings who were doing this work on their auras. And I was thinking, this is kind of silly that they're working on auras unless they've been someplace where they've already had their physical body and their etheric body worked on. This isn't the way it goes. And my guide didn't exactly bitch slap me, but he just said, you know, why don't you just look at what you're seeing? And it seemed like all the healing could be done from the aura, even though I have this belief system that you have to start physical, work etheric, then go to aura. They were just working on the aura. And at that moment in the real world here in New Zealand, a car drove by with a dog barking its head off. And I thought, where are the animals? And I was shown all these bubbles that were animal beings, animal souls, animal consciousness around this tunnel of healers. And all these animals were a vitally important part of the healing process. And I was pretty blown away. I asked if there was anything else I should see. And apparently there wasn't, because I didn't go anywhere or do anything. So I'm bringing back to the group the image of bubbles, like rainbow soap bubbles, that were the animal souls that were involved in this healing that was going on in the auras of these people. And that's all. So, Sushila?
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. I want to just enjoy that for a little bit. Well, I went traveling and the number 3178 came in. And then when I finished, I was looking, I wonder if that's how far this is into the future. That's a bit of time, but I don't know. So I kind of landed on a neighborhood and it felt very similar to that peaceful feeling of people just working together. And the focus here was on future food pods. So the neighbors, okay, there was no like towns, states, or countries. There were like GPS locations. So it wasn't like people had ownership like somebody else mentioned. And there were like sectors. So a sector would be like a circle. And within that sector, people were responsible for helping to grow the food and sharing their food and talents. So like if you were a healer, you would do healing work, or a teacher would do teaching, or whatever your talent was, you would contribute to that circle. But then there's another circle that would like intersect. So you'd have 4 other intersecting circles. So the symbol looks like a chain link thing where they're connected. And then there would be representatives from those circles that intersected that said, you know, we have extra this, or we have, you know, whatever they had in abundance, they would share that with their connecting circles. And the last time I know I had a thing of a sunflower with the spirals going out with the housing. This one is, it kind of looks like a flower too. The chain link would be the middle one, the middle petal, and then the 4 petals on each direction. So that's the symbol. I'm complete. Cinda?
Oh, wow. So it took me a while to go anywhere, but I was just so relaxed. And I was like, are you going to take me anywhere? And they said, you're there. And I said, oh, okay. What am I supposed to see? And they said, look. And I said, well, I don't see anything. And they said, exactly. And I mean, but where I was is where I am. And so what I saw was my current environment. So what I knew was that I was in the now. I didn't travel very far in the future. And it seems like whenever I'm doing any traveling lately, I'm in the now. And I said, so, okay, so this is the assignment. What is it that you're showing me? And they said, look, just look. And so I looked around and I realized that everything is just so calm. Just so calm, and the water is like glass, and the wind is a soft breeze, and and with the wind at a soft breeze, the birds could come, and you know, and just they're everywhere, and the waterfowl could hang out in the water without the disruption, and the earth was just calm. It's just like everything was so calm. And if there was any ripple in the water, it was a simple ripple. And so the symbol that I came back with is just squiggly lines, you know, just in a row of the soft breeze and the ripple through the glassy water and the rippling of the earth as she breathes, and just simple and calm. And I was sitting there thinking, well, you know, maybe it's just because I'm tired and I'm just really relaxed right now. And I heard a laughing, and it said, oh, back up your vision. So so I backed up my vision, and then I saw what was creating the calmness. Oh, I'm so glad. There's just these tall sentient beings, and they visited me when I did the Guardian Circle vision. But there are these tall sentient beings. They're crystalline energy, where instead of being wide, they're tall and thin, and the energy is going down and up. And you could see the being or the entity in this energy, this opalescent, gorgeous energy, and they were everywhere. And they were just holding out their hands, causing this ripple, and everything was just so calm. And so I got giddy in that excitement, and I was just like, oh, you're so beautiful. This is so beautiful. What is your purpose? What are you doing? Why are you? And it's just like, you know, we just need to keep the world calm right now. She's just not quite healed yet. We need to keep the people calm. They're not quite healed yet. We need to keep the animals coming back. They're not quite healed yet. Not yet. In other words, it's like, not yet, not yet. Does everyone calm down? Not yet, not yet. And so then I started to ask, well, what is all these little uprisings and all this little deceit and secrets and anger popping up? And they said, exactly. If we can keep everything calm, the majority will be calm, and those that can't be calm will be seen, and you'll know what to do. You'll know what to do. You'll know how to take care of them. But until we have to keep the calm, we have to keep the calm. So those that are in a way thinking they're winning will rise to the top, and will know what to do. We'll know what to do. So it is all within purpose. The shift that we're all feeling is these gorgeous sentient beings just holding space for us. So that ripple effect of just calm. It was beautiful. Yeah, Kelly, again, calling you out.
Yeah, calling me out. Okay. So lovely, because there's some similarities and things. So I always love it when that happens. So first I'll take it personal. I've been having some headaches lately, and they're focused kind of on the back side and on the left side of my head. So years back, there was a group of folks that I knew that started experiencing like an expansion within their skull, right? So, you know, so on the way, I was in Portland yesterday, but on the way back, I'm sitting here and I'm feeling my skull, and I feel this space that opens up quite frequently, and then it'll close back up again, and it'll open back up, and it'll close back up. So what happened is when we went in, I started like feeling this energy that was like, and so my hand just started going across my frontal lobe, just kind of like a really light touch, just going through my lobe. And oh my gosh, I was starting to get this immediate relief to this tension that's kind of like been building here. And then I kept on hearing occipital lobe, and I had to look it up. I didn't quite know where that was in the skull, but that's right back here on the base here. So, and then I kept on seeing this energy that just kept on going. You know, it wasn't like a vibration. It was just a ripple across my forehead. So just a slight sensation that is happening. And then I'm shown that other people are experiencing the same thing. So like this expansiveness, this, so this expansiveness and a dent here that go and they close, but this expansiveness with this ripple, this energetic field that is moving through ever so gently through the frontal lobe of others, right? Of everybody, those that are, and maybe aware or maybe not aware, but I think it was Arlie that said that people were awakening, but there's this popping up, I think. But it's like this energy that's shifting people. And they just kept on showing me this vibration that was going through here, and this expansiveness and this occipital lobe pressure type feeling that others are experiencing, and that it was all telepathy based, and that telepathically would be so much more the mode of operation as we move forward, which I think, people experience anyway now, but in a more profound way. But just this real peaceful, telepathic shifting happen in the frontal lobe that is somehow connected to the occipital lobe, which I don't quite understand yet. So that's what I was shown. So just kind of like, they even had me draw it out. I drew out the dots of the ridges of the skull cap, and frequency realignment to the frontal lobe is what I have. Telepathy, yeah, dots, skull cap, all kinds of little fun drawings. But that's what I was shown, and that people are shifting in a very soft, ripply kind of way. So when Cindy said ripple, it's a very soft, ripply feeling on my forehead, and I feel so nice. It feels, it's a relief from some of the pressure of this feeling in my head. So I am complete. Thank you. I think, let's see, Sharon? I'm not sure. Your turn.
Mine was pretty quick. I was taken to the future, but then reminded of, I think it was in our time, because in our time travel, I'm in the time travel group too, of course. And in that group, I was taken back to the original plan for Earth, and worked with the design team to rewrite the plan. And the thing we wrote out of the plan, because we can now, is any ownership contracts. Where the original plan for Earth, the major reason for Earth was that outsiders owned us. So those ownership contracts were a critical, we had to bring them in because they existed in those other worlds, or we had to bring those contracts in to Earth experience, with the purpose, of course, of getting rid of them, of getting rid of the outsiders, which is what we've been doing majorly for the last 10 years in the galactic worlds, and really 5 years or so here in the physical world. So they had me work with the design team that took away all ownership contracts. Gone. So here we have an Earth plan that a soul can come into a physical bodysuit, male or female, free, to experience Earth and what Earth has to offer as its sole purpose. So what they did is they said, we want to anchor that into the future. So instead of going to the future to anchor something, we went to the past and got those corrections, that changed, to anchor it into the future. And then we had made years ago, probably in the early 2001, 2002, we made changes in the third world so that we could clear the galactic worlds. So we took that change and anchored that into the future. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, the Galactic Council Collective, which I had never seen them work together before. But now, about 4 years ago, I think it was, they sent out a decree that said that outsider agendas, domination agendas, parasitic type agendas can't even be chosen anywhere in the different galactic systems. So we took that decree and anchored that into the future. So that's what we did. And I asked for a symbol, and they gave me the infinity sign, past, present, future, present, past. And so that's what we did. Sheila.
myself. Oh. I had an experience like I've never had before, because when we started, it was a physical body experience, and I was in the mountain timber area in a stream, and I looked down and my Levi's were rolled up, and I was barefooted, and I could feel it. I was there. It was the realest thing I've ever experienced. And I reached down, and there was a quartz stone, a white quartz stone that was smooth. And it was definitely my symbol for Mother Earth. I really don't, other than it was a glorious experience, I don't know necessarily what, other than when I opened my eyes, I was so surprised that my hand wasn't wet. But anyway, the symbol that I brought back was the smooth river stone white quartz that represented Mother Earth. And that's all I can say. That's complete. So who hasn't? Let's see.
I think everyone has, Sheila. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So good. Good.
Karen,
Yes, Margie.
I haven't talked yet, and I think I'd like to.
Great. Absolutely.
I have 4 guides, which reminds me of these particular 4 guides are much like Cinda talks about. They're long, elongated, thin ones. Those are the ones that always take me to see things in the multiverse. So I traveled with them forward and saw Earth, but not on Earth. I saw it from such a distance. But I could see that there was, it was at a time when we had learned some kinds of advanced energy technology, because around the Earth at 4 points, north, south, east, west, or equator versus poles, off the Earth, there were some kind of devices that were in place. And they told me it was, he says, you know how you can hold space for a person? These devices were energy holders for holding space for the entire planet. And they created an energy frequency, top, bottom, right, left, that created a huge, huge double torus. And that double torus movement energized the planet and held the vibration around the planet in a way that was really amazing just to watch it. And it was though the 4 points were connected, but they didn't let me see where, to other frequencies that were farther deeper into the multiverse, that were feeding vibrations to the Earth that were, what I could tell were definitely for the highest good of all life on the planet. So I asked if I could feel what that felt like on the planet. And so this reminds me, because we've all talked about this in the future, about when I was on the planet, I felt again that sense of peace, joy, unconditional compassion and inclusion, the maximizing of potential for all life. And it was as though this movement removed all stagnation. It was like there was never any stagnation on the planet. I'm reminded of Oriental medicine that says anywhere there's stagnation, disease, if you will, dis-ease breeds. And it was like how this movement on the planet kept everything vibrant and alive and healthy. And they said to me, it can be modulated. In other words, we have the technology and the help from the places that feed into the earth to modulate it in whatever ways that are always for the highest good. It was, I'd never seen anything quite like that before. Holding space from such a larger way with energy for all of the planet and all of humanity. So the symbol that I came back with is the double Taurus, by all means. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you all. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. holding what we each got is enough, isn't it? I mean, man, amazing. Now here's a question for you, a very 3D question. I think this is our last of the 4 weeks, or maybe we have one more, I can't remember. Because we made a commitment to anybody who wanted to, we would hold a space for the broadcasters to meet once a week for these 4 weeks. And so the question I have is, do you want to continue meeting? And if so, do you want to continue meeting weekly, or would you want to go and shift to maybe a monthly schedule? And any input, you can just open up your, unmute. Or we can not meet anymore. I mean, and we don't have to meet. And so, what's your pleasure? What's your sense?
I would like to meet weekly. I think this is incredibly valuable. I feel like we are moving together as a group at lightning speed, and I would hate to lose that momentum, and I hope others feel that way.
Thank you, Arlie.
I'll share. I hope to be on that other group that you're doing about the new group you just started this morning, I think. Plus the teaching thing and the 11 classes or 18 or whatever that grew to. I would probably, I don't know if you want people to come in and out or just stick with everything. I would feel more comfortable once a month because it's just too much added to my plate with everything else. And some of my other classes will be ending, and then in the future it might be different. But for the next month or so, I can only do one thing more at a time. I can't. There's too much.
To clarify, if we have a space once a week, you're not, anyone who can be there will be there.
Okay.
It's not like a class.
Okay.
You want to show up because you're learning.
I would like to, but
Yeah, I totally get that. So yeah, so if we decide to have a space once a week, those who can be there will be there, and it will go in and out. Totally fine. That's how these particular circles work. Other input? Yeah.
I would love to continue on Mondays. I never felt the power that I felt when I joined this group and connect and go forward. So I would be up for continuing on Mondays if anyone else can do that.
Sharon, I'm open for continuing on Mondays. I'm available.
Sharon, I probably can't do every Monday, but I'll come when I can if we want to be a weekly one. My question is, are these supposed to be an hour session or an hour and a half?
I think this one's gone over to an hour and a half. But
Yeah, because I scheduled it. I'm going to have to jump off here in a minute, in just a couple minutes, because I scheduled an hour and I have something else at 3:30.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure we get to, I would like to get my crystal for us to do
Yeah.
that before we jump off. So
Why don't we do that right now? So if you have your crystal ready to program that with your symbol and your experience. And just hold it, bless it. And you'll know when that crystal has it. You'll know. Ask that that be sealed. Ready to broadcast into all energy fields from your point of living on the planet.
thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
So is most of the time it's going to be an hour though? Is that what I should?
Yeah, and yeah, because yeah.
Okay, thank you. I need to sign off.
Thanks for being here, Lynn. What I'm going to do is we're going to we'll have space on Mondays 2 to 3 for the next 4 weeks. Those who can be here will be here and those who can't won't when they, we'll just flow in and out, and we'll put it out to the rest of the broadcasters, and we'll just continue this work, because I totally agree that it's very powerful what we're doing, and we're still in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, everybody can unmute, say what you want to say. Elbow bump.
Elbow bump. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you,
As
lady.
always.
Love you guys. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.